Show for today. The topic is the African American press. The guest is Mr. Sam Latham of the Urban Journal. And of course, Mr. Latham, I think you were giving us some information relative to getting involved in the newspaper profession. Let's pick up at that point and to give you an opportunity during this segment to talk about your involvement in the African American press.
Well, as we were talking earlier before the break, I went to work in 1975 as advertising director and assistant to the publisher of a paper called the Ebony Gazette, which was published by Elder Simon. He was associated with Riverside Hospital. He was administrator there. And it further helped my decision in terms of wanting to be a part of this industry. Although we had only a one-year run, it was a good year. And there was tremendous response for the publication from our readers. So although the paper didn't last but a year, it solidified my decision to eventually go in business for myself with the newspaper. So in 77, I think it was, I decided I wanted to get some more experience before launching my publication. So went to work in radio, and so that would give me a broad experience in terms of operating across racial lines. It was a top 40 white radio station, and I was among the first African Americans to work in that particular area with the major media in the city. And that was a good experience. So a year later, I decided it was ready to cast caution to the wind and go for it. So I launched a publication, the Metropolitan Times, which had a real long run, about 18 years, in the city, and it experienced the normal growing pains, the curve that you have to traverse in getting a business started, but it was, I guess, a labor of love in terms of putting it together and keeping it going. And as you probably know, that advertising drives the media. And so in that sense, I think we helped pioneer that aspect of it. The radio, WVOL, was already existent, but that was the only, primarily the only black media product in the marketplace. And I felt that a city this size, at the time, there were perhaps about 90,000 African Americans in the city, in Nashville. That compares today to 119,000, but if you extend that to the 8-county area, which we're all a part of, we're sort of the hub of Middle Tennessee, so to speak. So it expands to 153,000 African Americans.
In that area, 153,000.
153,000. And interestingly, you know, a lot of times we perceive ourselves as being poor. Certainly, we don't have the same income per capita as the majority community, but collectively, we represent $2.2 billion of earning and spending power. To put that in perspective, Dr. Haney, let's say that we put those 153,000 people in a geographical area and call it Chocolate City, Tennessee. It'd be the 6th largest economy in the state of Tennessee. So it's very valuable.
Very powerful.
Yes, it is.
Economically.
Yes. So to further break that down, that $2.2 billion, we spend almost $400 million a year buying groceries, $200 million a year buying cars. But sadly, we don't represent those industries. We're grand consumers. Now, from an advertising perspective, it's good, but not as good as it should be, in that our job is to package this demographic and to sell it, rent it to those retailers who want to cultivate this market. So in that sense, it's a tremendous market potential.
But it's hard to realize that that market potential. Is that what we're saying?
Well, a lot of the problem, Dr. Haney, is that the people who make those decisions don't look like us. And a lot of times these are people who never had the black experience or never been around the black experience, don't understand it that much. So they're making those decisions without full knowledge of how it impacts. So sometimes you don't get an opportunity to sit down and talk with them in depth to help them understand just how enormous the spending potential is in the African American community. Many operate off of stereotypes.
They know that the market is there, but they don't understand exactly how.
Don't understand it, and the second problem is that they take it for granted. It's almost like in the political arena, saying the Republicans write us off and Democrats take us for granted. So they feel that the major media is enough to reach African Americans. That's not true. It's simply not true. Every figure I've seen.
You can demonstrate that that's not
Oh, sure, sure. And if you look at zip code by zip code in the city, track by track, that's tracks are part of the zip codes. And you look at the penetration of the major media, it's just not there. On the other hand, we reach more African American homes than any single medium in the city. I mean, any single medium, whether it be a television station, the Tennessean, any of them. So that's what we do.
You've got access to that 150,000 individuals.
Sure.
And you know that they're there.
Oh, sure.
And they know that you're there.
Right.
But yet and still the major media really does not pay that much attention to it.
Well, their own biases are costing their companies and their clients.
They don't believe that they can make money. Is that what we're saying, that they don't believe that there's money there, or they can't cultivate that market, or what is that?
Well, for instance, I usually have more knowledge about the demographic and the market segment than they have, because they haven't done the research. I spend probably 3 weeks every year digesting the census, because that's my business. And I say that I'm an expert on black consumer spending and mores. So anytime I get an opportunity to actually sit down like we're doing and talk with them, usually I can convince them that it makes good sense to have an African American strategy to their marketing campaigns.
Well, it seems to me with that kind of representation of African Americans, 150,000 in the general area, that would be sort of a given that you would have that kind of representation. And even if you might take that market for granted, that market still has to be exploited, is that?
Sure it is, and there's opportunity. Well, to look at it another way,